If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Level Up Nation Live, and I am your host, Stacey Freer from the Dustin Pritchard Real Estate Team, joined with my co-host, Dustin Pritchard. Hey, Dustin.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. We have one of my real estate faves on the show today, Kathleen Black. Hey, Kathleen, how's it going?
Hi, it's going very well. I'm excited to be back and sharing with you guys.
Thank you so much for coming back for episode number 2. So the first episode, we kind of did a little bit more of a deep dive into your professional career, but we wanted to,
we want to get to know you a little bit.
Side. Because, a podcast isn't a podcast unless you dish the dirt, right?
I think you need to tell that to all the podcasters. They all ask the same questions. I'm just kidding.
Oh, really?
I go on a lot of podcasts.
Should we not be asking? We should have done that before we actually started the show.
No, I'm always open. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I know there's so many podcasts that are like very, very similar. I think everybody kind of goes for the easy questions. And I think that's what Dustin and we're kind of instigators. We like to go for the not so easy questions.
Yeah, I like to poke the bear a little bit.
I know, right?
Right?
Although Kathleen's not a bear. She's more like, I don't know, a dolphin. She's friendly and majestic.
A dolphin. So Kathleen, you're a friendly, majestic dolphin. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. And we'll never have you on the...
Come on, Dustin, don't throw me under the bus.
Friendly dolphin.
At least call me a shark, Stacey. I mean,
I know.
I was just kidding.
No, but dolphins are prettier than sharks and gorgeous. So,
there you
anyways, girl crushing hard. No.
Oh.
Anyways, I did want to kind of do a deep dive into your personal background because most people don't know this, but you are a single mom. You did kind of start this from scratch, and I wanted to kind of get into how you decided to level up. How old were you when you decided? I'm sorry if I'm asking a personal question, but at what age did this kind of tickle your fancy?
Yeah, well, I ran a prior coaching company before, and actually that's where Dustin and I worked together, at least with my coaching team. So I ran that company for I worked there longer, but I ran it for 5 years, I want to say. So there was a sales team and then the coaching company. So I ran the coaching company, not the sales team, although we worked together. I did a lot of training with the sales team. But so I've been coaching real estate since I was, I think, 28 or 29.
Only 2 years ago? Oh, that's
that's it. Yeah, no, over a decade, right? So I've been coaching real estate 11 years full time. And before that, I was, the last couple of years I was mixing real estate and coaching. But it's what I call the pinch years where you go, okay, I've had a couple of times in my life where I've said, okay, I'll do this for 2 years. It might kill me, but at the end of 2 years, that's it. That's all I'm giving it. And so coming from selling real estate to coaching was 2 years, pinch years to get to full time just coaching. And to be honest, it's not because I was part-time hours in either. I was full in both. It was just the way the transition went, right? And then when I started this company, it was 2 years, definitely 2 year pinch years. Whether I needed to or not, I did. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Now, I got to ask you another personal question since that's the theme of the show. Did you go through a phase when you were doing real estate? You kind of hit your cap or your benchmark. And then you decided to go into this coaching business. Was there a point in your life where you decided or you thought to yourself, am I good enough? Am I good enough for this? Or were you just guns a-blazing and you're like, hell no, I can do this?
That's a great question. There were definitely, I always felt, hell no, I can do this for the step I was at. When I was going to one step up, I remember yeah, I can do this. For example, but not always the step above it. If you had have asked me before, when I first opened this new company, there was definitely some apprehension because it was difficult leaving the prior company. So it was there was all this changeover and upheaval, and I had to stand strong and confident with a brand new company, coming out of that. And there was some drama and gossip, and I just chose to really focus forward, which I think shocked people because they're what the heck is she doing? We're in the middle and we're saying all this stuff about her and she thinks she's doing something else. And they're right. I did think I was doing something else. So I focused ahead really fast, but for example, when I became director of coaching for the prior company, they wanted me to right away be director of coaching, director of marketing. And essentially there was no more director of operations. So it was like they were asking me to be 3 directors at once coming from being a coach. And I remember it's so funny looking back. So like, I'll be director of coaching, but I'm not being director of marketing. Like, I don't know why, just something in me. Like I taught marketing, but I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to do that. But within, pardon?
Instincts, maybe?
Maybe. I was like I'm going from coaching very quickly. Like the company wasn't even 18 months old and I became director of coaching. So like that was very quick to go into that. But within 12 months, I ended up to become director of operations. And I think it was within 2 years after I was running the entire company and then I owned half of it. Right. But I needed that time because at the time I was like, wait a minute, like director of coaching looks super messy. I knew what it was going to take to make it optimal. And therefore I took it very seriously. I was like, I know the time, I know I have to sell, I know what I need to make to do it. And I think people really also, they underestimate the importance of getting paid to learn. And I knew I was getting paid to learn and other people thought I was getting taken advantage of, but I was like, you don't understand the opportunity that I have to learn and expand and grow. And it was so vital for me to do that. And I think a lot of people just go, wow, I should be paid this. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. You're giving me a chance to figure it out and learn and pay me. Yeah, great. People pay to go to college for that. Like, sign me up. I'm good.
I love that. I love that. And you're right. People underestimate that importance of volunteering and learning from experienced people, even if you're not getting paid, and you're getting paid to learn at the same time. That's huge. Like, this is Level Up Nation. This is for entrepreneurs across the board. So is that advice that you give to anybody? Like, go and pay your dues and go attach yourself to experienced people so that you can learn from them and work for free, or if you're lucky, get paid while you're learning at the same time?
Well, yeah, because you don't always see it. Like looking back, they put me in that position because there was a friggin' mess, right? But I didn't see that. I was like, oh, I'm going to learn how to do this. Not they're stuck. They don't know how to do it. So they need you. I didn't see any of that. I just saw opportunity, right? And it was a couple years later that I laughed. I was like, you didn't really notice there was no one else in line, Kathleen. Like, but it didn't matter. Like taking over a company that was, it had a massive potential. I believed in the company. I still I've transferred what I believed in there here. I still believe in it. I'll devote my life probably to it. Right. But, I think, taking over and getting to learn, and I would never have the company I have now if I didn't take a chance on a fire sale to turn something around in trouble, because starting a company from scratch without debt, without friction, without any issues, literally, I always say it felt like flying compared to taking on a company that some would say certain aspects were broken and trying to fix it. Like, it's just like, it's night and day. I'd never have this company if I didn't do that, literally ever. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. So yeah, I'd 100%. If you really want to do something, I always say yes to anything remotely in the right direction towards where you're wanting to go until you don't have the time or energy to do it. And then you narrow again. But yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's very interesting that you said that, because last year I was running my own company with my ex-partner, and then when we kind of split, I sold my shares, and I figured if I could build it once, I could rebuild it again. But I took a gap year, which I called my yes year, because I tried everything. I didn't know the direction that I wanted to go into. I just knew I had an idea. But I very much echo what you're saying, because every opportunity that presents itself, if someone hands you something and says, here, you're going to have to work for it, but you're going to get X, Y, and Z, I always say, yeah, absolutely. Like, I will 100% do it. And I know a lot of people also thought that I was getting taken advantage of. And not to play the gender card, but a lot of people thought that because I was a female, that females usually say yes, and females usually just go and do those 3 jobs in one and don't ask for the money. And I was like, no, what you don't see is the big picture. I'm going to learn all of this, and then all of a sudden in the next 2-3 years, you're going to see me explode because of all these stepping stones that I've taken. My question to you is that you had said in a previous episode that investing, clarity, and I guess mentorship are 3 pillars that you firmly believe in with people leveling up their game. As a young professional at the age of 28, what would you advise someone facing these challenges, kind of being afraid, maybe feeling like they can't do it, but not really having anyone to lean on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question because I mean, it's easy for me to say get mentorship or get coaching, but the reality is that is a financial investment. And I think sometimes people have to take a risk. I also know people who are entrepreneurs who took a risk and loaned money to go into programs to grow because they knew they didn't have, like, it was an investment, just like anything else. You know, people get a business loan, but they kind of look at it and go, oh, I don't want to sign up for a program. I mean, it's a hard call. I think you have to know yourself, right? Like some people are struggling because I think end of the day, they don't really want to drive out a new vision, whereas other people live for that. And they're like, I can't even imagine getting up in the morning without driving forward a new vision. And right. Yeah. Like for me, without momentum, I feel literally like I'm dying. Like, it's like, yeah, I need that. So, you know, I think it's, again, knowing yourself, because it's easy for me to give advice, but I'm going to give advice based on me. And I mean, my profile is pretty unusual. Like I haven't met too many people like similar minded, but you know, like just as a, like, you know, Myers-Briggs, DISC. No, I just mean it's more unique. So for me to project do it this way, I mean, maybe yes, maybe no, right? But I think that for years, reading was my best mentor. Like I always say, when people say, who's your mentor, who's your coach? I'm like, most of them are dead. Like I've read so many books and I've taken those to heart and I've acted on them, but I didn't meet any of those people. I mean, I didn't pay for one-on-one coaching with them. It was much later in my life that I did, you know, the big high level kind of entrepreneur coaching platforms that I do now, because I hit a cap and I needed to. And if I didn't invest in a very large, significant amount of money every year to be amongst people doing a much higher level, I would have had blind spots. I would have never moved forward. So I had to be somebody willing to take those chances and make those investments. So I think if you're, you know, 28, you're young, you're looking to build up what you want to do. It's again, invest in yourself, invest in personal development, get clarity, because as soon as you realize that you can accomplish what you want, you'll do what you want. I don't know what it is you want for the person listening,
right?
But you have to know who you are and be able to stand in that, because without certainty we don't take action, right? We just get stuck, and it's like we're this spinning. Like I know people, for example, who I met around that age frame. Okay, so female, 28, invested in a bunch of personal development, wanted to build a coaching business, just for example. This person has had so many people approach her to partnership or do a business, and she's always like, oh, it's not perfect because, oh, it's not perfect. We're 11 years later. And people are going, I don't know how Kathleen built the company. Must, like, she's just lucky, or she's crazy. She works too hard. I would never work like she does. Fine.
Overnight success.
But, you know, but yet we're 11 years later and she hasn't acted on that. Right. So I think sometimes it's like, if you're still spending that time, you're not acting on it, you're training your brain that you're a person who doesn't take action, and that's going to cost you more in the long run. Like go and spend some time, or just like I always say, I hate someday goals. I hate someday dreams. If I start having someday goals, I worry about myself because I'm training myself that I'm not really going to do it. Right.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I answered you, Stacey. I went all over the place.
No, it's okay. It was kind of an all over the place question, but I'm going to ask both of you guys this question. What is one book that changed your life to help you level up in business?
First book that my mom ever gave me, Think and Grow Rich.
You took my book, Dustin. What's going on?
Neener. I got it. Mine.
Yeah.
And my mom gave it to me too. She even signed it. It was awesome.
Oh, I need to give that book to my kids. I actually had the audio of it. So when my kids were little and I took over the prior coaching company, I was listening to it every morning in the shower, because I had little kids, and most moms or dads know, like, that's your sacred time. It's like, stay the heck out of the washroom. Like, I just need this time. So people always say, well, I don't have time to meditate. I'm like, well, I had 2 little kids on my own. I meditate in the shower. So I think you can, like, just visualize, right? But I would listen to it every day. And that book was what got me, like, it kept coming up. It's like, you own half this company. You are this company. You need to position. And I was like, you're friggin' nuts. Like, somebody's going to, like, you know, fire me instantly if I ever speak any of these ideas. But sure enough, no, it kept coming to mind for a reason. So it's like, I just needed to plug into the right frequency, like a higher state of mind. And as soon as I did, I knew these, like, the ideas just kept coming. And then finally they were so real in my head that I thought they were real and forgot no one else knew about them and just acted on them. But I would say like when they become real in your head, it's only a certain amount of time if you're a driver before they become real outside of your head.
Well, that's how you manifest, as far as I'm concerned, right? Like people call, say, oh, I'm going to manifest this great life. No, you manifest the idea. And then as soon as that idea becomes tangible in your brain, that's all you can think about. That's when your reality starts taking shape around that idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Case in point, literally this time last year, Dustin, you were working for a different company. I was working for a different company. We kind of just had a powwow, like a meeting of the minds. And we put on a whiteboard, we wanted to have a business podcast. Oh, and here we are.
Manifested.
This is our gang sign. So for anyone listening, if you
can be part of our gang now too, if you want.
You have to put your fingers, your hands. Like what are you doing? Like this. You're like, not quite. The other way.
It's the wings. It's like
the wings.
I see the wing.
Your crown, and then
I like it.
From the Level Up Nation.
And then if you want to get fancy, you can go, oh. Stacey doesn't like the fancy.
Yeah,
you can fly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We like to have a little fun on here. Again, for anyone who's just listening, I highly recommend you watch the YouTube video because that's something you got to see, guys.
You definitely do. You definitely do. And Kathleen, I'm glad that you mentioned the book. I'm so glad that you did, because there's a lot of
the title of the book again for anyone who's just tuning in.
Oh, Think and Grow Rich. Is that both of us picked. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I like that so much is because there's a couple different reasons. Entrepreneurs nowadays, they want to be able to level up, but they don't know how. They know they don't know stuff, but they don't know where to go and how to get it, right? And the biggest problem that we have is actually it's a huge advantage. There's an abundance of information out there, but then there's an abundance of information out there. We got 22-year-old life coaches giving people advice about all of this, all kinds of different things. So where do entrepreneurs actually go to level up? Maybe they can't afford a $2,000, a month coach. Maybe they can't, go to the, Tony Robbins retreat for $20,000. Maybe they can't do those things, right? Mm-hmm. So grabbing those books and tapping in just by reading, that's, especially some of the old school content that is evergreen. It never goes away, and it's always true. It's one of the things that certainly helped me move through my business.
Oh, absolutely. I feel the same for sure. Now with Audible, it's like you can get so much more reading done. It's great.
Well, as a mom, I bet you'd have to do that. Otherwise, you'd have a book and someone be like, "Mom, mom, mom."
Mine are in the phase where I'm knocking on their door. Hello.
Teenagers.
Yeah, they're teenagers. Yeah.
Are they? How old are they?
17 and 14.
Oh, wow.
I have a 17-year-old too. So much fun. Yeah. How's school? Good. You get the one-word grunt answers. That's what I get.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Whole different deal.
Totally different deal.
Well, I don't have kids. I just have a 3-year-old fur pup. And
nice.
He just bugs me to go outside or for treats, so I can't really complain.
They're kids.
Yep, he's my babes.
Can I ask one more question? Speaking of books, not to kind of go back into your product and everything else, but kind of a little bit, just to segue a little bit. You wrote a book, The 1% Life. Obviously, it's built around the product and the services that you offer as a coach. But what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I've manifest. I had an idea that I was supposed to write a book a couple of years ago. And I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to write a book, like fine. But it was the only goal that I put off for a couple of years. And I was like, that's not like you. Like, why are you putting it off? And then obviously, I think there's pros and cons of having I'm a driver personality, but I'm also like systems and process personality. So details. So it was interesting because when I finally committed to it, I did what I do with absolutely everything. I call it the Tarot Fool's card. And it's like, if you had have actually contemplated what this journey would be like, you would have easily said no, but you didn't, because you were like, yeah, I'm going to write a book. So I signed up with a coach because I wanted accountability, because it's the only goal I hadn't completed. And so I got accountability, and I got many, many days sitting in Starbucks, literally from open to close, like the entire day. We're like, are you alive? Like, So, but wrote the book. But it was like, I have my product and I have my services, but really I'm lucky and I'm not. What I do for a living for me is about impact, and I'm not a money person. I'm an energy person, an impact person. So I'm highly driven by helping people and giving back the gifts of what helped me get stronger in my life. So, you know, that's good and bad, because some people can tap out and be like, oh, I'm making enough money, or I don't care. For me, like it's like I'm pulled into the future. I feel it's my purpose to do this. So the book was an expression of my start of combining what I'm doing with some personal stories, and really to mirror back to people that you can go through really tough times and they can actually define you and make you better. And you can relentlessly focus on where you're going, even when other people don't get it. And that's that stand strong in a storm. Like that was those glass houses. And I'm so thankful I had to go through those hard times so I could actually see that I was putting myself around people who were really hard on me. I was not, because I was hard on me. Like I wasn't seeing who I was or what I was capable of. And when I finally broke through that, which if I didn't have those hard times, I might never have. So I'm so thankful. Like around COVID, I'm like, don't waste this storm. Like, please don't, because you're going to get something immensely important out of it. And it's going to carve you into a better person, or it's going to take you under, but that's your choice, right? Like it sounds harsh, but it's all of our choice. Not take us under, obviously. I don't mean our life. I mean mentally. Poor choice of words, obviously. But yeah, so that's where the book came from. Like, and it was a bridge book. So it's a bridge back to the beginning of coaching when, you know, we didn't have all these terminologies and we didn't have this separate language dictionary that was team. And I was just helping top producers who needed time. And I wanted to go back and meet those people. And for those people to know, you don't have to be this big team to work with us. Like we'll help you wherever you're at, you know?
No, absolutely. Now, you did kind of just say that there are some people that were hard on you. I kind of wanted to tap into this. Dustin and I were talking about this. Do you find that you've had any issues being a female in a male dominant coaching system or a male dominant market?
Well, there's something I talk about and I'm going to answer you, but there's something I talk about in my talks. And I say you can plant seeds or you can hit ceilings, but you can't do both. So, I mean, I come from a psychology and women's studies double major, right? So you can imagine women's studies is actually great because it's really multidisciplinary. So it's, you know, it's race studies, it's religion, it's gender, it's everything. It's fantastic combined. So it taught me at a impressionable age that like everything's interconnected and nothing just stands, you know, isolated on its own. But it also taught me a lot of limitations. And I mean, I came into a real estate industry as a top producer. Never as a woman did I think it was an issue. Did I think, you know, it was maybe harder on me because I went through a separation. I had 2 young kids and I didn't have a lot of help or stability, maybe, but I didn't want to see that because it was too heavy and it was too hard and it was hurtful and it didn't take anything great. All I wanted to see was what I could build. So when other people are like, yeah, but wasn't it hard? Or are you upset? I'm like, I can't, there's nothing I can do about that. Like I remember my son, I always say this one, I don't know why it stuck with me, but our basement flooded a few times. Anyway, and the sump pump, the sump pump didn't work. And so I had to kick it. It was working. And so I remember coming out and I had rubber boots I was putting there and I was coaching by this point, but my son's like, Mom, you know, like this isn't normal. Like most people don't just kick the sump pump and leave their basement with 2 feet of water and go to work. Like they stay home. I'm like, I can't do anything about the water. Like I have to go to work. Like but it's a mentality of just, I'm going to focus on my highest and best use. And I'm not going to let all this friction take me down or make me heavy because it's exhausting. Like I just don't focus on that stuff. So when I got into coaching years later, I remember somebody looking at some pictures and saying, you're in a room at a really high end, like meeting room at a really high end hotel. And it's all men in the room. They're like, how the hell did you end up to? I was like, what are you talking about? Like I hadn't even thought about it. And I looked at the picture. I said, well, yeah, like I guess there's a lot of team leaders who are men. Like I never really even thought about it. But I think ironically, and I don't know if I did this because I have a bit of a chameleon personality, and it's true. Like I can be different. Like I can be very systematic, strategic, analytical, but with my friends, they're like, you're also really eccentric and quirky and fun. And like, nobody sees that. Right. But I think I was able to speak a language that some people would say is very male energetically. And I don't know if ironically, because I can speak the language of system and business and profit and conversion it's like my first tongue for me, it's no problem, that maybe that male energy with the female voice was able to be a little bit more accepted. I think that might be part of it because you know, it's hard, right? Because if I focus on it and I say, okay, we have more experience, we have better results, and we're not on the stages, like, what's that going to do for me? Instead, I just said, okay, you're not putting me on your stages. I'm going to build my own. Okay. Like, you're going to get what you focus on. And is there problems? Is there bias? Yeah. 100%. Like, I don't play popularity. I play results and systems. And have we been largely ignored in what we do? Yeah. 100% we have. But on the other hand, I work with 80% top 1% national producers. Like, how much am I going to get up? Like, awesome. I just want to build what's possible. But I remember doing a talk, and I was talking about this. It was for women in real estate. It was put on by REP magazine. So it had people from mortgage, it had legal, it had real estate. It wasn't just real estate agents. And it was interesting because they were talking about that in the top 10% of most industries and fields, the disparity is next to none. If anything, in some of the fields, women are even ahead. And I made a conscious choice several years ago, even when I was at the old company, that I said, we're going to have, not me, but we, because I'm team, we're going to have results that are so extraordinary that they can't afford to ignore us. So basically, if you ignore what we're doing and it comes out that your people have less results because you weren't putting them up there, then, hey, you're the one who's going to look bad. We're going to be so good, you can't ignore us. And then I remember doing that talk and feeling a little bit bad, because I was like, I'm part of the problem, because I accepted that. I was like, if I have to be so good, you can't ignore me, that's what I'm going to do. Like, just tell me what I got to do and I'm going to do it. It wasn't a matter of, am I going to do it? It was a matter of, I am going to do it. So how am I going to get there? But I didn't like the fact that, if you're not the best of the best, like you're going to, like, if I'm having problems with opportunities, what does that mean for people who are above average or average? Like, it definitely is a problem. But I think the more that we push and carve out space, like, I've been in rooms where, for sure, like, someone with much less experience is talking, and it's like, we're used to power coming from certain voices, certain images, suits, like, we're used to that. So we have a higher percentage of women selling in real estate, but the people we're putting on our stages are disproportionately not women. So what does that say? Does it say the people organizing the events are biased? Does it say the people buying the tickets are biased? Like, is it a market thing of we're buying what we want? Like, I think even as women, we're conditioned to hear wisdom packaged a certain way. And it's going to take disruption and a bit of force to change that. It just is, right? Like, even me as a woman, I have to look, and it's a different packaging, it's a different voice, and it's really important. I have to train myself to be delicate with that, let alone, other people weren't in the thought leadership space, right?
No, absolutely.
You were cognizant of it, but you ignored it at the same time. Yep. That's what it sounds like, to paraphrase. You were cognizant of the challenge and everything else, but you're just like, it's not a thing. And you don't even pay attention to it, to the fact that you're surprised to have a room full of men and you're one of the only women there. It's
kind of like, you have to remember, it's like, okay, they're not going to pick you first to the team. It's like, okay, I don't need to be part of your club. Like, I'm good. And that freaks people out. Like, I don't need to be part of your club. I don't need your approval. I have something I want to get done. And I think all great leaders, like, not to say we don't have associations and support and community, because I certainly do. But if I needed to get something done I believed in and I didn't have support and I really believed in it, I'd do it anyways, even if I was going to fail. Like, I don't need the approval check mark, right? And I think that's important for a lot of women, because we really want it, right?
Absolutely. And
deserve it, and more than deserve it.
No, totally. And as a female in business myself, a few of my friends and coworkers have always said that I've been a resilient mother trucker. And I'm just like, it's not about resiliency. I think for me, it's about no fear, because I look at a person and I see a person. I see that they might have something to offer. I don't see a title, and I don't see, I don't see gender. And that's what I was really interested to see from your perspective too, because it sounds like you're very similar. And my motivation has always been, in business or personally or professionally, to fear not is to want not. So if you don't have any fear, you'll never want for anything, because we always want the thing that we fear the most for some reason, whether it's we feel that we're not good enough, or whether we feel that we don't have the right connections, or we don't make the right amount of money. I think that is a limitation, but here's the kicker for anyone else who's listening. You're the only roadblock that you have. You're the only one that will say no to you, because you are the one that has to put your best foot forward. And like you were saying, Kathleen, if you want something done, you just go out and do it yourself. And people try to put you in, like, people have tried to put me in a box, and I have like ninja kicked that box till all sides were broken, and then just created my own dance space. My there there's
It's true.
a
It's true.
it
I've
is,
witnessed it a few times.
yeah, there's a term, little bit of sunshine, little bit hurricane, and my dad's like, yeah, that's pretty much you, it's the Stacy tornado. Like, don't stand in her path if you want something. So I really do look up to you because I think that you're very similar. And I like that you have a professional side, but a very personal side. And it doesn't seem like you have those limitations.
Well, I think it's an interesting time to talk about it, right? Like we're taping this right where we have, human rights and Black Lives Matter. And these are, and I think it's like all of these things intersect, right? And they're really important. And I think it's like, I always thought that by learning these theories and changing systems and things like that, that I'd be able to empower myself. And I realized that it's like, I just need to act and promote and see. I need to clean anything in myself that sees either myself negatively or sees other people negatively, so I can have a clear voice to do what I'm meant to do. And I think sometimes it's, just acting and showing up and creating what you want and supporting others, right? Like, because we see the limitations, we support other people so that they can have a platform. I mean, I think it's really, really important. And anyways,
It can be
an
one of the drivers for
time.
leaders, right? One of those drivers for leaders is you don't want other people to feel the same way. Some of the the limitations that that you have inside, right? You don't want other people, so you support them, right? I know that I feel that way, and I know that a lot of other leaders, they get a lot of juice from being able to help other people avoid the pain that they themselves have felt in the past or are currently feeling.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Justin, do you know what time it is?
It's time. Is it time?
It is time.
Is it time? Final thought? Awesome.
Final thought,
Okay.
Justin.
All right. So first off, thank you so much for being on the show, Kathleen. This was so much fun, and we definitely want to have you back. But my final thoughts is this: I was taught at a very young age by my mom, thank you very much, Mom, that leaders are readers. If you want to level up your life, you need to engage and you need to digest as much information as you possibly can about the subject that you want to excel at, right? So if you want to lead, if you want to grow, you want to build, you need to ingest. You can't do it in a bubble, like I said in the last episode, right? So leaders are readers. And on that note, I'm actually going to give a shameless and not so shameless plug for Kathleen's book, Top 1% Life, The Real Estate Agent's Guide to Free Up Your Time, Build Your Business with Confidence, and finally have a life outside of sales. So I'm in the process of reading it right now. Thank you so much for writing it. I'm actually looking forward to it because I am your customer. I'm exactly the kind of person I need that information. I need to ingest in that information. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
And Kathleen, do you have any final pearls of wisdom for our listeners?
Pearls?
Pearls of wisdom for our listeners.
Now you're in the hot seat. That's the hot seat.
Yeah.
By the way, be wise. Go.
Yeah, just don't underestimate yourself. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's that, like, if you have an idea and you want to act on it, if not you, who? Like, fear is the biggest thing that stops people, right? So it's a pretty straightforward one, but I think it's an important one. If you're watching this or if you read the book, I mean, it's all about that, like stepping into who you are. Like, we all have a gift to bring to this world, right? Like, that's why I love teams, because we can nurture leadership in people who have a purpose here and they need to see that mirrored. So if you're a mentor, if you're a real estate broker, team leader, like, you have a sacred role to help people see their power, and we need to collectively come together to make changes. So I think that, coaching is very similar to leadership in that we're mirroring what's beautiful about people back at them. And some people never had that. So if you get the chance to do that for yourself or others, like, do it as much as you possibly can. It makes a massive difference.
All right, guys, there you have it. Pearlies from Kathleen Black and Dustin's final thoughts. If you were just tuning in, you've been listening to Level Up Nation with our special guest, Kathleen Black. If you have any questions, comments, please hit us up below. We'd love to answer them for you or forward them to Kathleen if she would answer them best. And I think the final thought is, with great leadership comes great responsibility. So there you guys have it. I'm your host, Stacey Freer, with Dustin Pritchard and our special guest, again, Kathleen Black. Any contact details will be in the description. and hopefully you will tune in next time.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Ciao for now.
Bye for now.
Sorry, Dustin, hit our website. I almost forgot.
I always forget that. To promote yourself. Okay.
And our final, we just got it. It's our new tool.
Right? It's levelupnationlive.com. Go to levelupnationlive.com. And I won't say it 3 times. All right. Levelupnationlive.com.